Peggy asked me to talk about a couple things. So the first is my circuitous route to family medicine, because I think you're already hearing a theme of a lot of us finding family medicine, or rather family medicine finding us. And I don't think I'm any different. I didn't even know when I was an undergrad that I was going to end up going to medical school. I thought that I wanted to do, well, I did. I studied psychology and thought that I would end up doing research, and was sort of interested in cognitive science and learning and memory. And so after I finished undergrad, I went to work in the lab, being a tech, doing animal work with rats, trying to figure out what memory looks like at the level of the neuron. And it was really sexy, exciting, and super boring. And it turns out that I like talking with people way more than talking with rats. And so I had already had a hunch that maybe medical school was the right place for me, because I thought this psychology thing's cool, but maybe psychiatry would be even cooler, and then I can prescribe medications, and instead of crazy rats, I can crazy people. It just seemed, again, the allure was out there, and so I ended up going to medical school in Chicago at Rush University. And I think you will probably know what I mean when you say I was one of those people that as I went through my rotations, every single rotation I did, I thought, this is what I'm going to do. I started off with surgery and I loved the procedures. I went on to, actually I had family medicine next, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe people do all this stuff. It seems like nobody can know that much. And then I went on to do OB and thought that it would be great to deliver babies. And actually I went to a medical school where family docs didn't really deliver babies, so when I found out that we do that out here, it was just even cooler to think about family medicine. And just as an aside, my medical school family medicine docs also didn't do inpatient care. So it was sort of like this other world of family medicine, except I got to see that they were really, really good at providing outpatient primary care. So then I went on to medicine and other things, and I finally got to psychiatry, which I thought it was certainly I was going to either be a neurologist or a psychiatrist. I spent all this time studying the brain and figuring out, what the hippocampus does. And I got to those things, and I kind of had a similar experience to John, actually. It's interesting to hear his perspective, because I found that when I got to the things that I thought I was going to love, it really didn't match my expectations of what it is that I wanted to be doing. And it turns out what I wanted to be doing was having an ongoing relationship with patients who come to me in a time of need, and I can address that need regardless of what it is and what organ system it involves. And family medicine for me has just provided this amazing opportunity to be there for my patients for whatever it is they need and at the place and time where they need it to be. And that has just been sort of an incredible surprise that I never really saw coming, because again, I went to an institution where family medicine wasn't a very sexy thing to do, and I was just lucky enough to have good role models along the way, whereas you guys, I think it's pretty amazing. It always blows my mind when I see how many people at OHSU are interested in family medicine, and that was partially why I came out here. So from Chicago, hearing about the things that are happening on the West Coast, I came out here and interviewed her a couple places. Along this path that I told you about, I also met who was at that time my girlfriend, now my wife, and she was the year behind me in medical school. So she wasn't particularly thrilled that I was coming out to the West Coast to look at residency programs, and we made a deal. I was a fourth year and she was a third year, and we were not engaged at the time, that I was allowed to put one program that was out of state as my #1 program if I really insisted, and if I got it, I got it, and if I didn't, all the rest were local. And thankfully, things worked out. She's here as well. She did her residency in internal medicine at OHSU. And she's now a fellow at OHSU in nephrology. So we're managing to have the 2-physician dual career household, but we also have a 10-month-old at home. And anyone who tries to tell you that that's easy is lying. But I will stand here and tell you that it's doable. It's absolutely doable. We don't have any family here in Portland. We have a great daycare that we go to, and we both work hard, and we don't sleep as much as we used to. But it's the greatest thing the decision that we ever made. And so I want to tell you that you can absolutely have a 2-physician household and children and make it work. And on top of all that, I love what I do. So talking about my daily routine, I'm a resident here. I spent an extra year being chief resident here because I really enjoy a little bit more of the academic side of medicine and the medical education process. And whether that's at the level of the PAs, which I'm going to be working with a lot over the next few years, the medical students, which I've had a tremendous opportunity to work with and will continue to do so, or the residents, I really feel passionate about educating the future physicians of America. And you know, in a way, my practice right now at the waterfront is not nearly as disadvantaged as I thought it was going to be when I was a medical student. And so maybe part of my cognitive dissonance is that I'm making up for that by training a lot of other people that can then go out there and be in the rural communities. But I've fallen into a place where I love my patients, I love what I do, I get all these amazing opportunities to do a million different things and work with great people. And so it's true I could go someplace else, and I think, you know, hearing Lynn's story, it kind of does make me feel this pain of like, oh man, I was going to do that. But I also know that even at OHSU, where I take care of a lot of employees, there are a lot of medically underserved hospital janitors and spouses and people that have too much health care and not enough health care, and we have a really big job to do no matter where we do it. And I'm just so honored to be able to do what I do every day and to be able to get invited to stuff like this and talk to you guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email.